Hey there, it's Katie. You're listening to the Health, Wellness, and Chocolate podcast, and I'm so happy you're here with me. So, today is March 1st. I feel such an accomplishment for being able to be here and have made it through February. I don't know about you, but February for me, we live in the Northeast, and it is like my least favorite month. So, one, I'm so happy it's the shortest month, and then also it's over. It's now March, so I'm totally thrilled. What I wanted to talk to you about today was kind of like, I don't know about you, but I think we're going on like a year of like COVID, right? And this idea of the lockdowns and, opening back up and then locking back down. And I think a lot of people have been feeling maybe a little bit worn out. And so, spring is coming. We're just a couple weeks away from it. And maybe you feel like you're in a rut. So what I wanted to do today was just give you some practical tips. Nothing crazy right now. Of course, I would love to say get on a plane and head somewhere warm and soak up some vitamin D. But that might not be totally realistic right now. So what I wanted to do is just offer a little bit of some self-care tips to help you maybe feel a little bit better and get out of that rut. I don't know where you live, but where I live, we can go get haircuts. And actually, my husband shocked me, but he actually made an appointment for us for Valentine's Day to go get a couples massage, which we were actually scheduled to get last year at the end of February. And we had been watching a little bit of what was going on in China. And we were like, I don't know if this is going to be as bad as it is over there, but why take any chances? It's starting to spring up here and there. Let's cancel it. And then now looking back, I wish we had just kept the appointment, but we rescheduled it. And so finally, a year later, we're actually going to get a massage, and it's so awesome to be able to go do that. And so we're going to be going to do that. And I finally got a haircut, which had been a while in coming. And just so little tiny treats like that go a long way in helping you give you a little tiny boost of happiness. I had taught a class called How to Thrive When Life Gets Crazy, right when the pandemic hit last March. And one of the things that I had been researching was, as a woman, what is our response to crisis? Because listen, we were not immortal prior to COVID happening. And if you read any book prior to like this century, people died a lot. It's really pretty common. Actually, all of us are going to die at some point, right? And crises, famines, wars, extreme poverty, like those are all part of history. So what we're going through, pandemics, plagues, like nothing is really new. So like, how did people thrive and get through those time periods of history, prior to us? And one of the things that I had learned was, women during times of crisis, like there's an uptick in the sale of lipstick, which I thought was really fascinating because women will, it's a little tiny thing. It doesn't cost a lot, but just having lip gloss and lipstick on just makes you feel a little bit better. And so, without even maybe consciously knowing that that's what they were doing, anytime, like in World War II, there was an uptick in lipstick sales, right? Which I find fascinating. So there's always something you can do, even if you are tight on cash. I understand, right? Like COVID, I think, has affected so many people in that area as well. But there's always, always, always something you can do to improve your mind, to improve your health, to improve your mental health, to improve your body. There's always something you can do, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You just have to give your brain time to come up with solutions. So your brain will offer, I don't know what to do. There's my choices now are so limited, right? But give your brain time to think. The board game Clue came around during the air raids during World War II. They would have to, in London, they would have to go into bunkers and all the lights would have to come off and everything would have to be pitch black. And the idea of the board game Clue was conceived during this really dark time. So you can, think of things besides the urgent in front of you and just coping with it, right? If you can start to have a growth mindset and try to look past the negative and start looking at the opportunities available to you in spite of the negative, I feel like you will be able to get out of that rut and out of that feeling of despair so much faster. And really, you are responsible for your own mental health. Okay, so this is so important to make sure you are taking care of your mind, not only your body. Physical health is important, and I know there's so many health experts out there who are always talking about physical health, even just with COVID, like wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, make sure you do this and that. But I feel like a lot of the mental health aspect is ignored in this. So you really need to take control of your own mental health and do what you need to do in order to improve it and to feel healthy. Okay, so you are an agent in your own life, and you need to responsibly take control of your mental health. So I know you may be feeling a little bit sad, and especially coming out of the winter. On a normal year, it might feel like a little bit of like the groundhog peeping out of the ground, right? That might be a little bit how you feel, is like kind of a little shell shocked after the year we've had. But there are, you might feel like maybe rudderless or even restless, especially if you have been home for a while. And typically, like I said, my advice would be, go get a haircut, go get a pedicure. I always say, go buy new underwear. Hello, ladies, I'm talking to you. One of my major, I've written a paper on this, is self-care. A huge component of self-care is making sure you're dressed appropriately that fits into your budget and your body size, right? And I can't tell you how many times women will have holes in their underwear, or their bras don't fit correctly, or the underwire is poking them, or the links on the back are broken or something. So one of the things I say to do is if you're feeling in a rut, is go buy new underwear that fit the body you currently have. Okay, don't buy 3 sizes too small to shame your way to that body size. Buy underwear that fits and that you feel comfortable in. Okay, another thing would be see friends. Loneliness is such just as bad as obesity for your health. So if you are feeling lonely, it is your job and your obligation to go and fix it. Think outside the box if you need to, but make connections that help you feel better. All right. It's so important. And I think it is something, especially in the midst of COVID and isolation and lockdowns and stuff like that, it has been overlooked. Loneliness and isolation is detrimental for your immune system and for your health, and is imperative you make sure you protect that. It is your job to protect that. Okay. So what can you do, right? What can you do to reclaim some of the zest that has been lost, this feeling of ennui that has set in, is this ever going to end? Well, I'm hoping with the coming flowers and the warmer weather and the trees coming back to life that, life in general will start to kind of burst all over, right? But for now, let's think what we could do. First thing would be get outside wherever you are and try to soak in the sun, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Just that little bit of vitamin D will naturally help boost your mood, and it will help you to feel better. And vitamin D is huge with your immune system, right? It's one of the major protective factors inside your immune system. So definitely get outside if you can. You don't have to do anything when you're out there, right? Bring a chair if you can't move your body, and just find some sun and just let it hit your face, right? I always think of that song where it's turn your face toward the sun and let the shadows fall behind you. I'm not going to sing it because you do not want to hear me sing, but it reminds me of that song. And just let the sun just hit your face. Get that vitamin D inside of you. Just those 10 minutes will help you feel much better. And if you could do it 10 minutes a day, you will definitely improve your mood. This brings me to my second point, though. While you're outside, if you can and you're able to, get your body moving. Move it in a way that you enjoy and that is pleasant for you. So I'm not talking about boot camp or anything crazy. I literally mean I learned this in graduate school with my professor. She said, when it comes to moving your body, if you can walk, or if you can crawl, crawl, if you can walk, walk, and if you can run, run, right? So, move your body in a way that's appropriate for the level that you're at and that you enjoy and that you find pleasurable, right? So it will automatically boost your mood. It is a proven mood booster. And obviously, the endorphins are released. There's so many benefits to exercise. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's a mood booster. There's just so many wonderful benefits. But it doesn't, I think a lot of times too, and I've talked about this before, is like we conceptualize this idea of exercise, we link it to weight loss, and then if you're a yo-yo dieter, like you automatically hate exercise then, because you attribute it to this feeling of deprivation and starvation. And like obviously as soon the day you start a new diet, right, not only are you hungry, but then you start this like insane exercise routine, which like your body is sore and in pain and it hurts, and it's just like your brain has developed this habit of like just linking exercise and weight loss together, and just this whole emotion emerges from it is like complete disdain. And there's so many people I talk to like, I just hate exercise, but I'm not talking about exercise. All I'm talking about is finding some way to move your body so that you can enjoy that you enjoy in a way you enjoy. So one tip I always give is like, think back to your childhood. Was there something you actually did enjoy doing? And then find the essence of that. So maybe you loved to do ballet when you were little, right? And obviously, maybe now, taking ballet classes is not realistic for you. But perhaps what you liked about ballet was maybe you just like the flow of the music and the way you could move your body and sway it. So maybe find something along those lines. Or maybe you like the idea of going and learning something new and being in a group of people. So maybe you can replicate that aspect of it, right? So find the essence of what it was that you liked and then try to see what you can replicate it with. Like if you liked bike riding, what was it? Was it the competition that you liked about the bike riding? Was it the view? Was it you having a buddy to go and have an adventure with and maybe have a little bit of a competition? Was it the fresh air? Was it the sunlight? Like find whatever that essence was that you really liked about that movement that you were doing, and then see what you can do to replicate it. Obviously, it doesn't have to be hardcore, but just a little tiny bit to bring you a little bit of joy and pleasure and give you something to look forward to. And again, it doesn't have to be expensive either. I believe I've told you this before, at 4 o'clock every day, when I used to like head to the bag of Toll House chocolate chips, instead, I learned the essence of what I like doing is learning. And I like being outside, and I do like walking. And so our driveway is a circle. And what we would do at 4 o'clock, instead of me feeling overwhelmed with the kids, is we'd go outside now and I walk around and listen to a podcast, learn something new. And then the kids just get to ride their bikes and play outside, and they get rid of their extra energy, which I don't know, as a mom, I feel like at 4 o'clock, somebody comes over and turns up the volume, and like the noise gets louder in my house, and like the attitudes get a little louder in my house, and the bickering kind of gets a little louder. And so that was a perfect strategy for me. So instead of wallowing in my chocolate chips and feeling sorry and listening to everybody fighting and being mad and grumpy, we all go outside, and it was like a perfect solution for me. So think outside the box. What can you come up with? And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like I seriously walk around my driveway, which it kind of annoys my husband, because he's like, can't we like at least go over into another road and walk somewhere else besides this circle? But for me, it's so nice because I don't have to have my full attention then on the kids and oncoming cars and traffic and where are they? Are they okay? Is their helmet on? Are they over to the side? And, there's so much stress that I don't have to worry about. They can literally just ride their bikes around in circles or go play on the swings or climb the jungle gym or play in the sandbox. And like, I could just walk and just keep my eye on them, but there's no stress. And that is for me is pleasurable. So yeah, I'm not getting very far on my walk. I'm only the driveway, but I'm not out there to get far. I'm out there to move and enjoy the fresh air and get the energy out and just really have a good time and listen to that podcast. And it fills me up, right? And I don't need food to do that. So find something and find a way to move your body that you enjoy and that's pleasant for you. And you can do it And when you're done with it, even if you don't feel like doing it at first, like think about how you'll feel after. Like, oh, I'm so glad I did that because I totally needed it. And so then like use that as your motivation for the next day. And then the third thing you could do is, one of my strengths is a learner. I love learning new things. And I think, especially during this time, like take advantage of some of the extra time you may have in your day, because other things have gotten canceled, and life is starting to pick up again. But maybe be choosy about how you fill your schedule. Right? Take an online course, improve yourself in an area. Like I have the Health and Wellness Blueprint for only $1. Like, go join it. Take a week and learn some cool things. Read the ebook, take the classes, start to work on your weight, or just start building a life you love, right? That's the whole point of the blueprint. So, decide today, I'm going to become an interesting person. So rather than wallowing in this rut that you've been in, be like, you know what, I'm going to go learn something new, okay? And I kind of joke, I'm like, you know what? Tiger King should not be the most interesting thing that has happened to us these past few months, right? Like this should not be the epitome of like, oh my goodness, did you see Tiger King? Right? Or I don't know, have you seen The Queen's Gambit? That was a pretty good one too. But anyway, like those shouldn't be, like TV shows should not be the most interesting thing that happens in our lives. Seriously, we like really need to do better than that. So decide today, like I'm going to become an interesting person. I'm going to learn something new, and then I'm going to go tell somebody what I learned. And then, what happens is you become interesting to talk to, and that helps with the feeling of loneliness, because now you have something important to talk about, something that's rich besides talking about the latest celebrity gossip or like the latest TV people or the news stories or politics or whatever. Like you actually have something cool to talk and share about, which makes you interesting, and it makes people want to talk and be with you. Okay, so decide, I'm going to be an interesting person and I'm going to do something interesting. Okay. Now, actually, this brings me to my next point, and that is turn off the news and get off social media. And I say that lovingly, but I kind of mean it. First of all, the news, the whole goal of news is to like give us headlines so they get clicks, right? So, and we feel, especially in times of like crisis or stress, like the more information we have, we always think we'll feel better. We'll feel better when we know more, right? But really the opposite is true. The more information we have, especially these days, the more stressed we become, especially when it's information about things we really can't directly control. We can only control like our inner sphere. Anything beyond that really is beyond us, and honestly, to spend a lot of emotional energy on things that we really cannot directly affect is exhausting. And then what happens too is in the things that you can directly affect, they get the leftovers, and you really don't have the time to, or the emotional energy to don't dedicate to the things that are important. And the same with social media. If you feel when you get off social media, you feel a little bit worse than you did when you first logged on, which actually studies show that is what happens, maybe fast from it. Right now is a season of fasting. So maybe choose that to fast from. I promise you really probably won't miss much. I mean, maybe the acquaintance you made 3 years ago, maybe you won't see what she made for dinner last night, but I think you'll be okay, and I think you'll get through it. But you know what I noticed a lot? I don't scroll Facebook anymore, and I really don't even scroll Instagram anymore. And what I noticed was I almost didn't miss much. And I found I liked people better when I wasn't hearing every thought that they had. There's a proverb, and it says, don't visit your neighbor's house every day lest he hate you. And I feel like social media is that visiting the neighbor's house every day, and it kind of builds a little bit of disdain in us and in them. Okay, so I don't think we were supposed to be so connected and have to hear everybody's opinion. There's a reason why there's a curtain on a voting booth, right? For privacy. Some things are just not meant to be shared. And I think it's better in some areas when you don't. I mean, there's places and times for it. And I guess if you get your thrill from politics on social media and all those things, go ahead. But if it's causing you stress and it's really wearing you out and making you feel bad, turn it off. You won't miss it. And same with the news. Just consider it. Okay. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving suggestions. But I do know, like, the news is there to purposely manipulate your emotions to get you to click on those headlines. So if you're only reading the headlines and your body is reacting to that, and it's, cortisol and like these stress hormones that are constantly being fed then into your brain, and you're continuing to create that rut mentally. So if you can take a break from it, you probably would be a lot happier. And then realize too, like, maybe it has become a habit, and it's not something that you definitely need to continue doing. So the next thing would be, if you can't see your friends in person, I don't know what your state is like, but, set up a call, get in touch with people, make those connections. Like I said, isolation is really detrimental and a form of loneliness. So, and it can be very harmful for your health. So be an advocate for your own mental health, and you make connections and keep in touch with people. And it's just really imperative that you do that. Do it responsibly in whatever that means for you, but definitely make a point of getting together with people and making those connections, right? And then another idea too that we like doing here is having a fancy dishes and like making like a fancy tea party out of maybe a boring and dull day. And it might sound frivolous or, I don't know, like a little too frou-frou, but it's kind of like a way of showing like respect to my family when I bring out very fancy dishes and make like a really nice meal, and I'll get like sparkling cider and pour it into fancy glasses, and it just makes it different, right? And it makes it fun. It doesn't cost anything extra. It could just be like chicken nuggets on their plate or whatever that it is that they like to eat. But it's like just a meal with civility, and it just kind of takes a boring, dull day and elevates it. Or even do that just for you and your husband. Like, feed the kids early and maybe put on a movie for them, and then like you and your husband just have some time, just the two of you, to do something different, and have like a fancy dinner together, just you two. Or it doesn't have to be fancy dinner. It doesn't even have to be food, but it could be, maybe order like a date night in a box and do whatever activity it is that comes with it. But just try to think of something that is a little different than the run-of-the-mill, every single day routine stuff that you have been doing. And then another thing that will help kind of get you out of this rut is to count your blessings and show gratitude. So if there is somebody lonely that you can drop off lunch to, or like an elderly friend that has been very isolated lately, and they need their yard tidied up, like maybe do that. Like, take time to invest into someone else. It will help get the focus off of yourself, and being able to do that actually it has been shown in studies to reduce feelings of depression. So if you feel lonely, reach out to someone who is lonely and make a connection with them. And if you are really struggling with feeling very low, start to count your blessings, right? In the evening, because there is always something to be thankful for. And it could be something very simple as a warm home. Right? I mean, I think of Texas only a few weeks ago and what they had to go through during that terrible storm that they had. And then they didn't have heat. They weren't used to the freezing temperatures. Their houses weren't even built for being able, there's no insulation there. Their homes are made to reflect heat, not keep heat inside like they are up here in the Northeast. So without heat there, they were in very dire straits, right? So like, think of things you can be thankful for and count those blessings, and then show gratitude. That will automatically start to help you feel better. And it does create that pathway in your brain then for noticing the good, right? If you only notice the bad, that's all you'll ever see. But if you start to train your brain to start to notice positive things, then you'll naturally start to then notice positive things, and it will just kind of build on itself. So it's definitely something that you want to do. And then the last thing too is, just to help get you out of that rut, is just consider we have never lived through a pandemic before, right? And now we've come out the other side. And so keep perspective. Things that are going on in your life now, this too shall pass. Are you worried about your kids? Are you worried that they're falling behind in school? Maybe like we homeschool, so honestly, our lives are not very, very much affected at all by the pandemic. So I kind of joked because last year I had a baby, and so I had canceled a lot of my extra stuff too. I tried to make my schedule a lot lighter, knowing I'd have an infant, and I know my boundaries and my limits, right? So I had cut back significantly on my schedule anyway. So I was kind of joking with my husband when everything went down, and I said, apparently I live like there's a pandemic most of the time because I really don't have much going on outside of my home. Actually, I love coming on here and talking to you guys because I feel like I get to hang out with you, and it's like a highlight of my week, really. But I kind of joke with him. I'm like, I think that I live like I'm in a pandemic most of the time because with 8 kids, like, where am I going, right? Like, there's not too much I can go that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg with everybody in tow. So I do tend to spend a lot of time at home anyway. So for me, it wasn't a huge adjustment. For a lot of people, it really was. But if you feel worried, like, oh my goodness, my kids, like, school is so erratic and I don't know, I think they're falling behind, like, so what can you do if they fall behind, right? You can always get a tutor. You can always help them read through the summer or, practice math. I mean, there is so much information on the internet. If you typed in kindergarten math or 3rd grade reading helps, do you know how many things would come up for you to be able to get help with? I mean, thousands. So don't despair, but start thinking of solutions. So instead of being problem oriented, start thinking, okay, list your problems, right? Like, maybe take time and go down the line. Okay, this is what I'm worried about. This is what's coming up for me. This is a worry. This is a concern. This is truly a problem. And then start figuring out how you're going to solve those, because that will help you feel powerful in your life again. And that will help you get out of a rut, like going from this feeling of not being able to really control much of your life to being able to name problems that you're having and then how to handle them. Okay. And you can do all of these things without needing to eat. And actually, that's actually the whole point of it, is get out of the rut, start improving your mood so that food takes a back burner and isn't the only joy and the only pleasure that you have going on in life right now. All right. So we made it, guys. It is March, okay? And we'll spend this whole month talking about how to refresh and, some self-care tips and how to feel better and getting out of that rut. And I just encourage you to kind of brainstorm, come up with some things that really speak to you, that can light you up, that can make food not as important, so that you're not eating to make yourself feel better, but you can actually be making changes inside your life to make you feel better. That actually will help your health and not hurt it. If you want, and if you find this helpful, please join the Health and Wellness Blueprint. You can do it for just $1. And actually, when you sign up for the $1, I give an amazing coupon for the whole program that you have lifetime access to. So it's totally worth jumping in and checking out. And that's at healthwellnessandchocolate.com. And it's the Health and Wellness Blueprint. You'll see it right away, right at the top of the website. All right. I hope you have a great week. I hope you feel good. I hope you enjoy this warmer weather that will hopefully start peeking out, and some beautiful flowers that will start poking up from the ground. And we did it. We made it through February. That's all. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.